For the past few years, 2D fighting games made by indie studios have been propping up and meeting a good amount of success. Games like Lethal League, Nidhogg, and Rivals of Aether have managed to carve a small but dedicated fanbase who love the game's original take on the genre. Rather than being afraid of the game's depth and quirks, players are more than happy to embrace what makes each fighting game special. And so, we want these fervent fighting gamers to enjoy Shogi Card's production, Recitallion. Recitallion is a 2D versus game that mixes elements of fighting games, deck builders, and tower defense. Players face off in 1v1, 2v2, or 2v1 scenarios, and their goal is to defeat their opponents by playing spell cards, each with their own abilities. Each of the player's cards have two effects depending on the mode they are in. Sacrifice mode allows you to unleash the card's full power in one strong effect, while Summon mode lets you place a powerful unit on the playing field to provide long-term support. These mechanics alone generate a ton of depth between deck synergy, strategic placing of your summons, and when to use the powerful sacrifices. But there is another mechanic that adds a layer of on-the-fly strategizing and quick thinking. With the Summon Theft, you can defeat an opponent's summon, which allows you to add the corresponding cards to your deck, letting you play it for yourself. This creates a fun risk versus reward dynamic, where the player has to weigh in between the strength of summoning versus the dangers of giving your opponent a new card. And there are always chances for a late game comeback if you play your opponent's cards better than they play yours. Recitallion has the potential for short and chaotic sessions at entry level, as players desperately scramble to make the best on the hand they're being dealt, but at a higher level, reading and understanding your opponent is put at the forefront as the best competitive games so often do. We believe this is precisely why this game will attract the kind of audience generally drawn to indie fighters. The beginning chaos makes for an attractive spectacle at first, but the game's complexity is what will have players coming back, and importantly, what will get them talking. On top of that, the deck building aspect and possibilities for various card synergies will allow card game players to feel at home. We hope that these two audiences will keep a long-standing interest in the game and ensure an extended lifespan for the game through their well-known perseverance as players share tactics and discuss strategies. In this current version, you can play with 4 of our cards in 1v1 and 2v2 scenarios, with pre-built decks that already show a glimpse of the strategic possibilities for the game. On top of these features, we have used the incubation time to improve the game's clarity, as well as implementing our first path on the game's onboarding based on feedback from multiple playtests. With the full game, we hope to give players the ability to build their own deck and expand the player's arsenal of cards. We are also planning to add in online multiplayer with rollback netcode, a must for modern fighting games. We're hoping to release the game on Steam in late March, following a model not unlike that of Lethal League. A first release of the game, showing the gameplay loop at a slashed price with build hype, and a small community, all to finance a more feature-rich sequel where we can realize Recitallion's full potential. This is a rough calculation of how much it would cost for us to develop Recitallion into the first release, for 6 months after the acceleration period. Revenue will be shared between investors and the team 19-10. When doing this calculation, we took into account both our focus on development as well as any administrative fee. You can see a rough estimate of how we want to divide our time during those 6 months. As you can see, most of our time will be used to implement the online functionalities, but we will also endeavor to increase the number of cards as well as expanding the game's solo offering for people who would like to cut their teeth on the game in a non-competitive environment. Looking at previous successes in the market, we can see that indie fighting games have regularly been able to find a decently big audience despite their niche status. This is why when it comes to sales, we are confident that we can sell at least 10,000 copies within the first year for $9.99 per copy. When you take into account the revenue share and the fee Steam takes for every game sale, this is roughly the amount of copies that need to be sold in order for the investors to start seeing a return on their investment. Investing now also ensures you will be the first at the negotiating table when we decide to make a sequel. This is Team Shogi Cards, and each of the 4 members' respective roles. We are a multidisciplinary team with a varied background and a drive to make original and deep games. We strongly believe in Recitallion's potential, and I hope you will see it too.